Okay, when I talk about the 60s music scene and then I talk about hugs, bugs, and drugs, what band pops in your head? Probably the Beatles. John Lennon was probably one of the most famous Beatles there were. He was born October 4th, 1940 in Liverpool, England during a German air raid. His parents separated when he was 4. He ended up living with his Aunt Mimi. His dad was a fisherman and he missed him being born and he actually missed him growing up a lot. His mother Julia remarried. She taught him how to play the banjo, the piano, and actually bought him his first guitar. His mom was killed in a car accident in 1958. He didn't get good grades during school, like all throughout school. He met Paul McCartney in 1957, and then they formed the Beatles in 1960. McCartney introduced George Harrison to Lennon, and they needed a drummer, so they picked Ringo Starr, which wasn't the first choice. He was actually the second choice. In 1964, Beatlemania hit the U.S. His first marriage, he married Cynthia Powell in 1962. They divorced in 1968. His second marriage, which is probably his most well-known marriage, was to Yoko Ono. They married in 1969, and they separated for a year in 1964. They reconciled in 1975. Penny Lane, Strawberry Fields Forever, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band was the start of their started his experiment with psychedelic drugs to make music. And the band would go to break up. And then he also had a solo career. He released Plastic Ono Band. The title track is listed as their best song of all time. Lennon and Ono released 3 experimental and difficult electronic music albums. This was all white. The Beatles were still together. On December 8th, 1980, outside of New York, the old Dakota apartment buildings, he was assassinated by Mark David Chapman with a .38 revolver. One of my favorite quotes from John Lennon was, "A dream you dream alone is only a dream. A dream you can dream together is reality." And my sources were marriage.about.com and biography.com and johnlennon.com.